So, are you familiar at all with what happened recently with the new ad campaign from Nike?
A little bit. I think that one of the athletes who started that kneeling during the anthem at the beginning of the matches or something like that was featured in that advertisement. Am I right? Or,
Yes.
Yeah,
So they had some print ads with some other folks in it who were also in the video ad, but they tapped Colin Kaepernick, who was an NFL quarterback, and he's the one who started the kneeling during the anthem in support of Black lives and Black and brown lives, really. And he has not played since then, so he hasn't been a quarterback for 2 years. But they had a print campaign that said something about like believe in something even if it means losing everything or risking everything or something like that. But they put out this whole ad campaign, and it's Nike, and they're A, rich, and B, a sports company, so it's a very motivational ad. It's very inspiring. It features a lot of different people. I don't remember the one football player's name, but there's a football player who has one hand, and he's in it. There's a young man who is like running, I think he's running marathons or 5Ks or something like that, and he had a brain tumor, and he's better now. Serena Williams is in it. There's a ton of people in it. And it started just highlighting, like, if somebody tells you your dreams are crazy, good. That means that you're dreaming high enough.
And through that advertisement, I assume also you mentioned that he has not been playing, so they are sort of supporting his stand.
Yes.
And his family probably.
Yeah. Featuring him is an endorsement, or is being seen as an endorsement of what he has stood for and all of that. And he hasn't played football for, I think, 2 years now. And a lot of folks have some pretty strong opinions about this.
That's pretty crazy, you know, because I assume that he is not suddenly did not become a bad player.
No,
so he was
a pretty good quarterback, actually.
There is some kind of persecution going on here. I think, you know, just looking at it, it's crazy.
Him personally, he was challenging, saying that he was being blackballed from the NFL, and that case is actually going to trial, so they're going to investigate that. But also, people are boycotting Nike. It's not really a boycott, I don't think, if you are not refraining from purchasing anything, but they're taking the things they already purchased and setting them on fire.
I saw
on
some
video.
of the videos. Yeah, on
Somebody
YouTube.
set his house on fire doing this.
Oh, crazy! This is really. I'm not getting it. You know, because they already purchased that, so
right. Nike already has your money, and also, like the fact that you're burning something you already own, that you've already paid for, and that you're doing this in reaction to Nike supporting Colin Kaepernick, who once again has not played in 2 years. Suggests that you're actually against what he stands for. And what he's standing for is the kneeling. That's what he started. And specifically that Black and brown lives matter. And that Black persecution is something that needs to be addressed. And that's what he's always been trying to get attention for. And that issue has sort of been hijacked by a lot of folks, including some folks in our government, to try and make it about veterans, to try and make it about the flag. But that's never been what it's about. And he has stayed on message for years, and others have stayed on message for years. They have donated money to to help Black communities. They have been trying to help negotiate and navigate what it means to be Black people in America. Like, there's so much more to it than just the kneeling, but that's what people have been reacting to and assuming that it's about this. It's about the flag, that it's about the military, ignoring the fact that he started kneeling because he spoke with somebody who was in the military. So there's that. There's another part to it that's been really interesting. Well, there's two. One is that a bunch of people have come out and said, if you support veterans, why don't you just donate your Nike stuff to homeless vets? And there actually have been some places that have asked, like specifically, it's like, if you're getting rid of your stuff, we'll take it and
Rather
give it to
than
people who
burning
need it.
it,
Yeah, like don't burn it. That's bad for the environment. Like it can't help people if you get rid of it in that way. But if you give it to us, we can give it to someone in need. But there's another part to this that another group that acknowledges that it is positive to support Kaepernick and to support the kneeling and Black Lives Matter and all of that. But what is the role of a corporation in the movement? What does it mean for Nike to show up to the protest, particularly when Nike is a company that is famous for using sweatshop labor and for harming Black and brown people all over the world?
These corporations, they have enormous power to corrupt, simply by, as you are describing, in the virtue of their power and wealth. But at the same time, there is a long history of that being done, and not necessarily, at least at the beginning, in a bad taste. I'm coming from Czech Republic, which was behind the Iron Curtain, and as that Iron Curtain now decades ago came down, was toppled by democratic movements, all the Western advertising and all of that came rolling in, and so that was kind of immediately much stronger to us. And I still remember that advertising campaigns of United Colors of Benetton.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they were taking quite strong, inclusive and positive stance, and it definitely made an impact on me. And as the time went on, it got tired, and so on and so forth. But that first impulse and being confronted with, say, two hearts, I still remember those, and saying this is in the heart of an African person and this is in the heart of the European one, and they are absolutely identical on that picture. It's a pretty strong jolt, but at the same time, truthful in the end. And I assume that this advertisement is of a similar nature. So, we need to be careful, but at the same time, hey, if they want to do something about inclusivity and stimulate people to think with open minds about these matters, I'm all for it. We need to watch it,
right?
But otherwise, I think it is it's just a bad testament that they are. I saw someone burning their stuff on a grill. So
that's bad for the grill.
Yeah, absolutely. I would not eat food from that grill because, that rubber being burned on it, it'll definitely leave some residues on it. It's just.
So I had a friend on Facebook who took what I think is a really interesting stance, and the more I think about it, the more I really appreciate it, where they acknowledged the power in supporting this movement and featuring Colin Kaepernick in that way, and then using that as a way to encourage Nike to do better. So saying something like, if you featured this man that is pushing for equal rights, he's pushing for justice and reconciliation for Black and brown people. So in following his footsteps, can you live up to the model that he set? Can you speak out for Black people? Can you improve your own practices for that? And just thinking about that, even just thinking about the different people within the ad, Nike, can you stand up for folks who have disabilities and look out for them? Serena Williams is in that ad, and she just had a terrible weekend with the calls against her during her championship U.S. Open match. And that whole thing ended up being a debacle involving sexism, racism, misogynoir, for her and her opponent, who is Haitian and Japanese, which people seem to keep wanting to leave the Haitian off of that. But Nike, you have the athlete who's being called the greatest of all time, Serena Williams, in your ad. Can you stand up for black women? Can you stand up for the discrimination they face at the intersections of gender and race? So I think that it's a positive to be able to feature all of these people and to feature this inspirational stuff and to have us feel good about this brand. And yeah, maybe we'll buy some sneakers or a hoodie or something like that. But can we also use that momentum and the messages that those people send to us to push Nike to do better on their end? Because there's a lot of stuff they're doing that is not great. And I think particularly as people of faith who are called to help those on the margins by the God that we love so much, I think that this is one way to do it. And I'm really glad that perspective is out there.
That's actually even more active than what I mentioned, like observing it, watching it, and being on guard. This is even better, I would say, trying to encourage them and see what happens. So it's a little bit more active. Who knows what is going to happen with that? Those are big corporations. They probably do it for the entire world.
Right.
Those advertising campaigns, or for the world with the similar understanding. Because not everywhere they play the same games and so on.
Exactly.
Like I can imagine that in India it'll be probably cricket and some other sports, and not that big in American football or tennis or other things. But generally, I think it is important to support them doing good, encourage them to do better, and watch it so that it does not corrupt us.
Yeah.
So
be active,
yeah,
be conscientious, push forward.
Thank you very much for our young people.